Welcome back to my fantasy baseball vlogumentary as I take you through draft prep, get you ready for auction drafts, in particular Yahoo free auctions, which we are going to dominate. All the coverage of players is gonna apply to other leagues because we're skills based drafting and we're chasing upside, so everything's gonna work. But let's jump into the auction draft tip of the day, get it started. And this is my concept of nomination defense. I talked a little bit on an older video about sometimes you have to nominate your guy, and we tend to want to nominate expensive players because we want to get the money out of the pool. And another technique to nomination defense, I would call it, is not only obviously players you don't want, injured guys. Last year's Daniel Murphy, guys that have an injured sign or they're going to be overvalued, guys you have no use for, or high-valued guys. But I submit to you, sometimes you want to nominate guys that it's just a bad time to take them in the round. Like, we don't want to start the draft with a catcher. I don't want to start and pay for a high catcher. I definitely don't want to pay for closers. So sometimes nominating a player that it's not a good time to get him is also a way to extract value. So let's say you went up and you spent high on your first shortstop. You have a shortstop. Maybe you go back, you nominate some more shortstop because you don't need one. You know the rest of the league needs to play catch up, and you want to force them to go there. Or I might go over to the closers list, and we're a few picks in, we're 30 guys in, closer. Not the best catcher, but a mid-tier catcher. And I'd almost rather nominate stuff positionally that I don't want, because in the end, just an expensive player, a good player, oh, Manny Machado, he's going to go for a lot, I want to get the money out. But you still kind of want him, so don't necessarily throw him up there. So stuff you don't want, at times when you don't want it, it's not a good time to be buying, and drain a position that you already own. So typically, I don't really want to drain starting pitching. I know that you can get a lot of money out by going for starters, but because I'm going to kind of wait on starters, spend money on hitting, I don't want to drain the pool and cause desperation and cause more people to pay for starters right out of the gate. So I might let my starters sit there. So, big shout out to all the subscribers. I was gone a little bit, taking care of some regular business, but I got a lot for you today. We're going to drop into my top 100 today. And I did some shuffling. I got some movers. I integrated some starting pitching into where I want the hitting, and I'm going to try to fly through the whole list and what the tweaks were, what the revamp are. The goal here is to get you working on your sheet. Get your Excel sheet out there, making your list. I got a couple tips to just polish your sheet. If you highlight the top row, row 1, where you got SP, outfielder, third base, however you want to do it across the top, you can freeze pane so that when you're scrolling, it keeps the columns. You don't know, you know where the guys are. Freeze that top line. That way you scroll, you're good. Another little tip, I'm starting my list at 11. So 11 is my 1-1. That's my top guy. And then I count down from there because when I freeze the pane, that first one is gone, and I don't like it like that. I want to be able to kind of count as I go. That gives me a lot of space. I'm constantly moving guys. I'm moving clusters of guys, so you want to be able to play with your sheet. When we get really ready to do the first auction, when Yahoo even opens up its fantasy league, we're going to insert a column in between every position, and we're going to put our money in there, put our prices in. We're going to get to that. So real quick, I just want to touch on some category strategy, so you know where we're going, and we're talking about a 10-category league, 5 hitting categories, 5 pitching. I want to win power. The reason this is all about power is because I have to win home runs every week. I have to win home runs, runs, and RBI. I can kind of control that. Those 3 go together. I'd like to win average. I'd like to win steals. We'll talk about that. We're going to consider that, but we want to win power. When you look over at the pitching side, and the reason I don't get too crazy with the pitching, or I want to find good pitching late, because the guys change, the guys get injured, but really I can only control Ks. If I have a lot of high K per 9, I know I'm going to beat you in Ks. And then you have to factor in streaming. Yahoo allows you, I think it's 6 ad drops per week. Typically you're just looking at hot starters, you're flowing them in. So I want to win wins and Ks. And since we're talking about head-to-head and not roto, because that is a whole nother discussion, If I win 4 hitting categories, wins and Ks, that's 6-4. Those are wins. I just beat that person. And that's typically how I want to win it. Saves, I'm not sure. And the point with the ratios, the pitching ratios, ERA and WHIP, just one pitcher getting blown up. A couple guys just getting rocked. A closer blows a save, he gives up a whole bunch. It's easy for those to blow up. And what happens is the ratios are eating into my ace. You're destroying my ace. Last season, somebody offered me Max Scherzer for Freddie Freeman, but my staff wasn't that good. And at the time, Scherzer's the best pitcher. He's going in the first round this year, not for me, and not in an auction. Freddie ended up winning me a championship with that high average all through the playoffs as he was mashing his way to the finish line. And Scherzer's ratios just would have been absorbed into the mess. It didn't matter. And I was streaming my brains out. There was unlimited ad drops, so I was getting Ks from who knows what, and ratios were kind of like on the periphery. So in the end, that we're leading to hitting, and I wanted to give you guys an idea of that strategy. It's going to come in when I review these players. I had a couple other comments. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. I'll throw out another thing. You got to be up on prospects a little bit. And if you want to just make it easy, you're not going to start studying the minor leagues. I like one podcast called Prospect One, and it's really fantasy oriented. And just the names, you just hear the names, they'll ring a bell. Like Juan Soto got called up, all leagues. Just that one step ahead. I didn't really know. I hadn't looked at his numbers. But the Welsh was so high on Soto, I just knew to grab him. And so I think you got to hear these guys. This is going to make you better in season. You can't miss out on the prospects. This year it's going to be Vlad. It's going to be Eloy Jimenez. It's worth knowing your prospects. Another thing, you'll hear these guys will be like, well, I'm not a doctor. So, in fantasy, be a doctor. You have to be a doctor in fantasy. You have to think, ACL injury or Tommy John, it's going to take him a full year. He's going to need control. He's not going to look that good this year. He's going to be better next year. So get into the health. If you've had a similar injury, if you think, a hamstring, how long did it take for you to get better? Or you sprained an ankle? So be a doctor. Try to speculate. A lot of the little moves I made had to refer to health. Like I went back to a video and I was talking about Didi. Well, Didi's out for half a season. So Didi, my bad. IR, drop him down. I want no part of that. I got a quick faller I'll touch on later. Bregman had a quick surgery at the end of the offseason on the elbow. And now, he'll be fine for opening day. Okay, sure. But this is the thing. Players getting ready for the MLB, they got to be ramping up. I wanted him hitting the weights. I wanted him throwing and running and getting his timing and hitting the gym. And he's going to have to wait a little bit because he's babying his elbow. So I just got to speculate a little bit. I don't like the sound of that short little Bregman. And a little side point, Breggs is listed at 6 feet some places. He is not 6 feet. He is 5'9". So, if he's 6 feet, Jose Ramirez, I don't even know how tall he would be. Another tip. Since we last talked, I did a thing. I got the StatCast video. It's like in between the week that I did the StatCast video, they changed their website. They changed the search engine. So search has gotten a little bit better menus-wise. And I just have to touch on this. I'm sorry, I have to keep going. Between Fangraphs and Baseball Savant. Fangraphs, when I open up certain menus, I don't know if it's my computer or if this is happening to you, the wheel just starts spinning. The corner of the screen. They're just constantly downloading videos. Can I just look at the stats? Especially on a player page. I just want to scroll. And my computer is just exhausted. I can't get the wheel to stop. It's a pain. And the more menus I have open, I might crash the whole thing. I have to restart it. So Fangraphs was frustrating me. Last year on Baseball Savant, if you clicked on a player, you got trash. You got nothing. I think they dropped to a menu. They just had nothing. Baseball Savant has an amazing player page. The player profile, it kind of looks like Fangraphs. There's a couple things I don't like about it. The font, I've got to get my eyes used to it. They changed the columns. Where I was talking about O-swing, I think they're calling it chase percentage. So they've changed the name so they don't look exactly like Fangraphs, but basically they've stolen all of Fangraphs' thunder without the wheel. Without the wheel. It's clean, it's crisp. There's some new data on there I'm working with. They're breaking up how hitters are hitting against 4 different pitch types. A lot of information there. So when you're going to your Baseball Savant, click on the individual player. I actually like to right-click so I can open a new tab and go through that player's stats, and you'll see they combine. They got the hard hit data with the plate contact, with the annual numbers. It's really clean. The prospects have descriptions and their ratings. It's working. It's working well. So I don't want to throw too much shade on other podcasts, but Justin Mason has taken Eno Sarris's spot on Sleeper in the Bust. And these guys like to single-handedly talk about how they're personally changing ADP. Like, we're going to bring up a guy and everybody's going to listen to us. And then the whole world is going to change when they're taking guys. And so we've got to keep some stuff a secret because we're in all these experts leagues. But we want to tell you information. And it's just this endless back and forth with them about ADP. And it's not helpful. It's not helpful. I'm going to give you quality information today to get you ready in all leagues, particularly auction drafts, because I'm talking about the best players and winning each round. So let me get started here. Let me jump into the players. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything on this. Yeah, this is the other thing. Justin Mason, a fantasy baseball expert, is going to come out and say, if you know me, I don't typically reach or take prospects. I mean, Mason, if I know you at the end of the baseball season, you're whining about how your teams aren't good because you didn't get any upside. And then I'm on RotoWire. I mean, the conservativeness of too risky and can't do it. Like I said, I am upside every round. So when I describe my list here today, I'm pushing upside. I will tell you the risk factor. I mean, eventually floor guys have to be rated, but it's all up. This is all potential upside. I'm going to be doing it every round over and over again, looking for a blow-up team so I can win the whole league. I want to win it. I want to just, whoa, he took over. He won the league. I'm not playing to come into third place. So this is upside after upside pick after upside pick. I will keep reaching. I will keep speculating. And we will win leagues this way. So here we go. Let me jump into some movers. And the big thing here is how I integrated the pitchers. I'm really trying to get through 100 guys right here. And I'm trying not to take you more than 30 minutes. So just stick with me on the movement. I went through the top 20 guys. Not a lot changed. So I was glad with my analysis. Betts over Trout. I did it. Jose Ramirez and Lindor. I think the struggle is that they're on the same team, and we can't tell who are we going to get right there. I've decided Jose Ramirez, he walks more than he strikes out, so he's going to give you that little bit better average over Lindor. I don't know. Lindor likes to hit leadoff. They might bat Jose 2 or 3, so they're going to switch. Someone's getting the run. Someone's getting the ribby. You can't really go wrong with the counting stats. Lindor's only 25. Maybe there's a little more. Ramirez just hit 26, and with the downward slide, I got Ramirez 3 and then Lindor, just for counting stats. Middle of the round, again, I'm down to my 5th and 6th, Ronald Acuna Jr. The stud, 21, speed for days, power. This is untapped potential. This is stuff we have no idea. He could do something, and he could just be the new one. He could just move Betts and Trout right out of that spot. Acuna could be 1. I'm so high on him, it's crazy. But it's risky. It's risky. He's not necessarily going here, but I can't get off him. Bryce Harper. The other thing on Acuna, he did it. He did it on the player rater. So he did it for like 6 or 8 weeks in the second half. Who was the number 1 player? Ronald Acuna Jr. over everybody. So he does have that potential. He's flashed it. Bryce has done it for whole seasons. MVP. Machado. And then here's another riser. I look at the numbers. I can't push JD Martinez any lower. I don't care that he can't steal. Bases are overrated. The other thing with bases, they might come against a bad catcher, a slow catcher, or a certain park, or a guy gets on a hitting streak. So even if a guy takes 20 or 30, 40 bases, they might come at weird times. And head-to-head, you might win steals 15-3 and then not get steals for later weeks. So I don't want to freak out about that, about overvaluing the steals. I moved JD up. Trevor Story. I jumped over Trey Turner. I think Trey Turner's average is probably going to sit around 275. I don't think he's the 300 hitter we all dreamed of. And if I pull back the average, and if I don't believe in the power, I'm starting to be a little bit more three category. I'm starting to be a little bit burners. I still like Trey Turner because I had him 1 year last season, and that team went well. I can't exactly explain why, but having Turner and getting the productivity out of the shortstop, it was good. I'm keeping him there. There's a little bit of a fight. I think I want to put Story over him because the power potential is way more, the park, and I'll give up the average. It'll probably be similar. Another riser here, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has more in the tank. If we want to win power, stack the lineup, we got to talk about Judge here. Arenado. Finally, I'll give it to Christian Yelich. I moved him up just a little bit. The contact rates, I think he is going to regress. I think he could disappoint a little bit. But there's a chance this is just the new Yelich. He figured it out. He's got more to figure out. The hard hit and the hard contact is so much. You got to respect him here. As much as I don't love it, he's probably being overvalued. He's expensive and he's going first round. I've got him a little bit more cuspy, beginning of 2. Here's 2 guys, and now you see the prospect, the crazy, the upside. So if you don't like risk, you won't do this. But I want risk, and I'll win leagues, and I don't care that Vlad might not be up for 2 weeks. And Juan Soto. I'm not going to wait any longer. Just too sexy. I've got them right behind Yelich, about pick 14, 15. Drop down a little bit. I push Bregman down. I'm sorry, Bregs. I don't know what's going on with your elbow. I look back at the numbers. You were 30-10. So those counting stats, they're not getting me that excited. I don't want to be there if there's a power regression or if you're having trouble or you get sore or you have a setback. And I don't like your preseason workouts at this point. So I pushed him down a little bit. Giancarlo Stanton, no doubt power. Can't deny it there. I got him right there. The 2, we jump over obviously to the first baseman. I had to move my sheet around a little bit here. Freddie Freeman, Paul Goldschmidt. You look at the ex-Wobas. Those 2 guys are just a little bit, they're just so solid. They take a little bit of bases. Freddie runs a little bit. He's heady. So does Paul. They're not really sexy, but we have to respect them because after this first base, there are no locks. Those 2 guys I have tied in here. And here go 4 risers. 4 risers. Chris Bryant, shoulder, okay. I moved Carlos Correa all the way up. And this is where I'm diverging from Sleeper and the Bust. Their whole thing, for some reason, guys want to pass on premier talent early because they think they're going to get something similar late. Well, the reason that dude is late is because he's missing a piece of his profile. He doesn't have the upside. No, I want early, and I want explosive upside. Carlos Correa has been injured, but he's a prodigy. He's like 24 or 25. I'm not forgetting that he was a first-round piece for the last 2 years. Way up. Hoskins I'm in on. Cody Bellinger I'm in on. Just upside picks. So I've now bumped them up. At this point, this is where I'm going to introduce, I got to cross over because we're talking about sheet integration. The other hitters don't attract me. I've got Rendon, Altuve, and Rizzo. It's not that exciting. Go get an ace. That's where I jumped over. I said, who are the no-doubt aces? Scherzer, DeGrom, Garrett Cole, Blake Snell, cluster of aces. So aces are probably going to go earlier than where I have them. But if they fall to this point in your snake, whatever, or price-wise, I think those aces are good there. I jump down the hitters. It starts to thin out. I'm not convinced. But Rizzo, Altuve, Rendon, they're so solid, so legit. I pushed them up over the next set of aces. And if you went back to my pitching preview, starters top 16, I broke this tier up. And who I pushed up was young, upside, that I like. And here's a little segue. when you're doing your list, I told you push everybody out and just draft the players. Just trust your instincts one time and just say, who would I take? Who would I prefer? Because you're going to have a better fantasy baseball season if you like the player, if you like him, if you're in on him. In the end, this is about leash. Could he have a slow April? Could he have a slow April, May, and you just keep running him out there because you believe in him? Those are guys that you like. If someone forced you to go get Charlie Blackmon and you're looking at him and you're like, damn, he looks old. He's just looking old. Like, where's the power? You might be tempted to cut him. So put him where you want to put him. I broke up a tier: Severino, Walker Buehler, Bauer, Nola, Syndergaard. These are my next 1A aces with upside because they're young. I absolutely love Buehler. Bauer is an ace, so don't be fooled. Nola made the step forward. The fastball velocity I don't love. And then there's Syndergaard, who we have no track record. This is just because he can touch 100 and maybe he's healthy again. I'll put him up into that group of second aces, my 1B aces. I jump over. There's some hitters that are solid. I think Xander Bogaerts, Corey Seager, depending on the injury. I bumped up Springer and K-Rys Davis. Seager's been hurt. I mean, this is just a guy who's going to hit for average. We don't know about the power. We've got the lineup, but the upside and what he's done in his profile put him in this position if you passed on the first group of shortstops. Again, the hitters, I had to move out a little bit, and I said there's a couple more aces who I disrespected in the first group. Sale, Verlander, Carrasco, Kluber. That let's make sure that at this point of all those hitters go, the aces with some player integration, okay, we respect it. The only hitters I have in the next group, because of the name value and the consistency, Benintendi, Ozuna, Blackmon, Starling Marte, and I moved up Gary Sanchez as kind of a signature style piece. He had a down year. It was kind of a sophomore slump. He could break out. Catcher is so bad that if you're getting 30 home runs and crazy ribbies and he hits 260, he's going to be crazy again, and he has the potential to go in the first round like he did after his first breakout season. I don't love any of those hitters. Hitters got pushed down. I dropped in my next group of aces who I kind of been separating and tinkering with. I got to talk a little bit about this group. Let me see how long we're going here. We got a little bit more time. We'll see how far we get. I moved up Herman Marquez, Corbin, Kershaw, the injured one, the bad back one, Clevenger, Dirt Bike Bumgarner, Strasburg, and out of nowhere, Carlos Martinez. And this is just historical stuff. This is just you want to get a guy, you want to get lucky and see someone catapult themselves back into the top 10 pitchers. They're coming from this group. They're often injured. Bumgarner, Strasburg's injured. Carlos Martinez was injured all of last year. He even closed a little bit. There's definite risk here. Kershaw, even Patrick Corbin, Marquez because of the home park. Yeah, it's risky. It's risky, but depending on where they go in the auction for prices that we haven't dropped in yet, these guys have the potential to go up that tier into the 1A. I don't want to forget about them. I pushed them up. All those elite hitters up above here, I hit another hitting cluster, and it really was about upside. I sucked out some outfielders, which I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I want to get lucky. Eloy Jimenez, I think he comes up and just mashes. I think he comes up and he rakes out of the gates. So I want a piece of that. I put him up here. Michael Conforto, we're going to do it. You know, you're concerned about David Dahl, the power speed threat in Colorado? Yeah, sure. Sure, he doesn't stay healthy. He's never done it. It's a risk. I'm pushing him up. I'm going to put him into the next group. Yasiel Puig, just kind of a favorite player of mine because he's so toolsy, because I like to watch him gun guys out from left, from right. I got Puig up here. To round out the outfielders, I think Hicks deserves a little respect. I think he's blossoming. He might hit in the middle of the Yankees lineup. He's kind of a cog for them. He's got a good eye. He seems to want to walk a lot, but he does a little power, a little speed. Don't sleep on him. Tommy Pham's that good. The park's not going to be that good. he's solid. And Pollock. I think Pollock leading off for the Dodgers, just in case he gets healthy, the productivity could be so immense. He's better than some outfielders that I had to push down at some point, so I pushed him up here. Come across the diamond, Josh Donaldson. If there's even a whiff, if he has a calf strain in the preseason, get out of that. Get off of that. If his shoulder, if he has one word of not good health, don't mess with it. But he's MVP numbers when healthy. His bat is special. So upside wise, I had him put him here. I got Albies, Abreu, Cruz, Ohtani, all again depending on health. Abreu and Cruz are just solid mashers in the middle of the lineup. I had to put him there. Again, integrating the aces. So let's say if I were to pass on those first 20 starters, I pushed up the real where you got to live middle talent here. And really what you're going to be doing is keeping your eye on who's left from this group, because I'm going to need some kind of starting pitcher to hold down my staff. I mean, I have to win Ks. I need some wins, and I'm going to fly through a big cluster here. I got Tanaka, Castillo, Paxton, Wheeler, Barrios. Paxton being the most injury risk of that group. Jameson Taillon, I'm not even sure how high I am on him. Flaherty, Bieber looks like he's going to be the fifth starter for Cleveland. Miles Michaelis, Lucchesi, Kikuchi, and Josh James, all the way up to there, because I think he might be the fifth starter for the Astros. This is the group. These guys are flashing serious stuff, serious upside. I put them in here, and that's going to push my hitting down before I resume hitting. Those guys are just a tier above the next kind of group of just, mess and unsure that I had to push down. And then we jump over across the diamond. We look at some hitters. I got some movers here. Eddie Rosario, Michael Brantley. Contact's too good. Middle of the order's too good. Come over to third. Justin Turner, the old man. The ex-Woba's too good. I'm on Baseball Savant. He's making contact. I think he's going to keep going. Eugenio Suarez, let's do it. Shortstop, Gleyber Torres, Paul DeJong. Second baseman, it's kind of a matter of taste. I think Villar could be an absolute stud. He got pushed up, but with the power, and if he took 60 bases and he's going to play all the time, Villar's got to be thought about. He's been going up and down in drafts, so I think this is an up year. Whit Merrifield, just overrated. Like, he was a good pick last year. That's where you have to be right on your later pieces, on your breakout pieces that year, because what happens is they break out and now you don't get them for free anymore. Now they don't come in the 6th and 7th or for $5 or $10, and that happened with Whit Merrifield. So now he's too expensive. But I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to lose it and pay for a 31-year-old that steals. He's in a terrible lineup and doesn't hit home runs. I got him down here. Gallo, Joey Votto up. Someone just, Joey Votto, he's 35, he hit 12 home runs. It was a disaster. But at this point, for solid, for hit tool, Votto's got to be put in here. Let's grab a couple more first basemen. Aguilar, Olsen, Encarnacion. This is just low average power. Low average middle round cheap power at around 100, around 90 picks for me. These guys are going to put home runs out again. Can't sleep on them. Two outfielders that I just skyrocketed. Victor Robles, just upside. Laureano of the A's, upside, got him way up. Matt Chapman, and I don't like Carpenter, but okay. Matt Carpenter. Screw it, we'll do it. Rounding out the hitters, I just have another cluster here. Castellanos, Haniger, McCutchen, Upton, Kane, just veterans, solid. They're not going to break out, but they're good outfielders. They should be here. The question on Andujar, they were just the sleeper in the bus taking shots at Andujar. He makes too much contact. He makes great contact. That's why Andujar's here. Well, what if it doesn't happen again? It's going to happen again. He makes great contact. Well, his defense might not keep him on the diamond. He's out there because he produces runs. So Andujar will be fine. I don't care what happens in the lineup. Devers, old man Andrus, he'll be steady Eddie for you. I came across two more steady guys. Daniel Murphy probably leads the league in average. He'll probably have a breakout season in Colorado. It'll be mind-boggling. He'll hit a bunch and then he'll fall off the cliff next season. Robinson Cano, Wilson Contreras. And that's about it. I just dropped about 100 guys. That's how I integrated the pitching. That's how I just pushed upside. Guys that I want to deal with. And just to go back, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Javi Baez and Mondesi, they're like the same players. No contact, lot of power, speed, shortstops. We don't know what we're going to do with them. I've got them floating around 40. And if you need a breakout guy, if you're looking at just like, I've got money, or they're going for $25, jump in on some Baez and some Mondesi and just roll the dice. Just roll the dice. Maybe Baez figures something else out this season to deal with his lack of contact. Maybe Mondesi worked in the cages and his contact just improves. So I'm not going to sleep on the upside blow-up potential of those guys. This is another thing on your list. So the whole goal is to work the top of the list, winning each round. If you don't like a guy, push him down. If you don't want to take him, just push him down. Don't feel obligated. That's what happens with ADP groupthink. You go, well, God, NFBC's must be the 12th guy, the 30th. It's stupid. It's stupid. Have your list reflect what you've been doing to work. And don't add the whole league. The goal here isn't to just have 300, 400 guys. I mean, if you're in a 10-team league or a 12-team, the draft is 240 players. You don't have to go 240 more players. If everybody took every player that you wanted right down to your last player at 240, you'd have a guy. We don't have to go forever. I'm adding some pieces here and there, sure. I've got a couple pieces to add for you. Hampson of the Colorado Rockies at second base. Here's a guy you got to add in. He looks like he's going to start. He's going to steal a lot of bases. Get him into your second base list. I jumped over to another pitcher, Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish has been a strikeout fiend. I know it was a disaster last season, but he's another guy that I found that I can't sleep on. Maybe he has a better season. I threw him back into the list, so I'm being selective where I have guys. It's as important to push guys down that you don't want to deal with as it is to push guys up or to add to your list. I'm hovering right now around 280 players, and I'm working in there for now. I'm working in there. I got to figure out who I want to deal with. I've got to make some adjustments. I got to get back into Baseball Savant. I'll leave you with a couple. I had some movers in late first base that I think it's worth mentioning. Luke Voigt, CJ Cron. I think even Miggy, again, another, I know he is just old and ran into the ground, but Miguel Cabrera and really, really late first baseman, you got to look at where Bowers moved around. He jumped into the Cleveland lineup. White is over at the Astros. Maybe even Justin Smoke. Just a couple guys to think about late. I'm going to get a little deeper for you. That was adjustments on my top 100. And, subscribers, yes. Yes, thank you. Because at this point, this is enough people. I'm going to keep coming at you with the list. We're going to dial it in a notch when we get ready to take over Yahoo free auction leagues and just dominate those. And you can just have a dominant team and just destroy a bunch of guys that try to jump into Yahoo free auctions. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to be here to give you that. I think that's about it. Big shout out to the subscribers. If you like this stuff, hit it with a like. Subscribe if you're new. You guys are the best. I'm out.